My name is Helen Martin. I'm 80 years old. I have enough money to live where I want, and I have spent enough years on this earth to know that not every beautiful promise leads to a peaceful life. I almost bought into a 55-plus community, and I need to tell you why I stepped back before I signed those papers. I came close, very close. I had the brochures on my table. I had the tour. I had the charming sales talk in my ears. I had the pool, the clubhouse, the smiling couples, the fitness room, the tidy lawns, and the feeling that maybe this was exactly where retirement was supposed to look the prettiest. But I kept digging, and what I found changed my mind. Honestly, some of it shocked me. Some of it annoyed me. Some of it made me think, at my age, why would I spend good money to buy myself a whole new set of problems? So let me explain. I'm going to walk you through what I learned, what almost trapped me, and the two things that mattered most in the end. Because those last two were the ones nobody warned me about. I started looking because I thought I was being sensible. I had already built my life. I had already built wealth. I had already spent decades making careful decisions. I thought a 55-plus community might make things easier. You see, I liked the idea of low maintenance. I liked the idea of neighbors close to my age. I liked the idea of amenities right there on site. I liked the quiet picture they sold me. It looked organized. It looked safe. It looked simple. But I didn't get to where I am by stopping at the sales pitch. And thank God I didn't stop there this time either. I did not go into this as a cynic. I went in hoping to be convinced. I wanted the easy answer. I wanted somebody to tell me this was the perfect last move and I could relax. But I have learned that the most expensive mistakes often arrive dressed up as convenience, and retirement is far too important for wishful thinking. The first thing that hit me was the rules. I mean rules everywhere. Rules stacked on rules. Rules for guests. Rules for pets. Rules for vehicles. Rules for how long family could stay. Rules for what I could do with my own house after spending my own money to buy it. And here's what I didn't understand then. I thought I was buying a home. In many ways, I was also buying permission. That bothered me more the deeper I looked. I started reading the deed covenants. I read the community documents. I read the meeting notes. I read the budget. I did not skim. I read them the same way I used to read business contracts when I still ran my company. And the picture changed fast. I saw limits on how many nights guests could stay. I saw language that could affect whether my adult children could come for Christmas and stay comfortably. I saw language that could affect my grandchildren, too. I remember sitting there and thinking, after everything I worked for, was I really going to ask a board for permission to enjoy my own family in my own home? That question stayed with me, because family is not a small detail in my life. My children live in different cities. My grandchildren are busy building lives of their own. When they come, I want the freedom to say, stay longer. I want the freedom to turn a holiday into a full week. I want the freedom to say yes without checking a rule book first. I know some people do not mind those limits. I do. I mind them very much. At my age, I value freedom in small ways even more than in big ways. Then I kept going. I saw rules about paint colors. I saw rules about upkeep. I saw rules about what kind of pet I could have, how many pets I could have, how large they could be. I saw rules about how many vehicles I could keep, where they could be parked, and whether certain kinds of vehicles were acceptable at all. I even saw language around golf carts, and honestly, that was when I started feeling that familiar pressure in my chest. Not panic, just resistance, deep resistance. I have lived too long to be treated like a teenager with a curfew. You know what surprised me most? Those rules were not just suggestions. Those rules had teeth. I saw fines. I saw enforcement language. I saw the kind of wording that lets people penalize you and keep adding penalties if you do not comply. And I knew enough to know where that can lead. It can lead to a lien on your house. It can follow you right to the day you want to sell. I did not like that at all. I did not spend my life becoming financially independent so somebody could nickel and dime me because a guest stayed too long or a vehicle sat in the wrong place. That is why I tell anybody thinking about one of these communities to read everything. Read the deed covenants. Read the meeting notes. Read the current budget. Read it all. Let me explain why the budget matters so much. You may think your purchase price is your purchase price. It is not always that simple. I looked at enough numbers over the years to know that weak budgets turn into strong surprises. I worried about fee increases. I worried about special assessments. I worried about buying a place and then getting hit with a bill for thousands more because the association needed money right after I moved in. I could afford it, yes. That was not the point. I do not like avoidable surprises, and I certainly do not like paying for bad planning after the fact. I also paid attention to the meeting notes, because numbers only tell part of the truth. The notes showed me what people were fighting about. The notes showed me priorities. The notes showed me whether the leadership seemed reasonable or petty, and that matters. It matters because the character of a place is not just the landscaping and the clubhouse. The character of a place is the mindset of the people running it and the tone they set for everybody else. The second problem was cost. A lot of people look at these communities and think they are paying for convenience, and that part is true. But they may also be locking themselves into expenses that keep rising while the personal value keeps falling. I saw that clearly. The amenities looked wonderful at first. There was a fitness center. There was a pool. There were social gatherings. There were drinks. There were events. There was always something going on. On paper, it looked lively. But I had to ask myself an honest question. Would I still be using all of that later? Maybe not. I know myself. I know how life changes in retirement. I know how health changes. I know how routines change. I know how interests shift. I might move in and enjoy the events for a while, then start preferring quiet dinners at home. I might decide the little gym down the street suits me better than the one on site. I might stop wanting the constant social calendar, but I would still be paying for all of it through my HOA fees. And here's what I didn't understand then. The things that make these communities look attractive in the brochure can become the very things that make them feel wasteful later. I also did not like the lack of control. Those fees do not stay frozen just because you want them to. There is usually no comforting cap that makes you feel fully protected. You are signing up for a long-term financial relationship, and you do not fully control the terms once you are inside. That deserves serious thought, especially at my age. I have no interest in adding another growing bill to my life just because the clubhouse needs updates or the amenities need more funding. The third issue was social, and I think many people underestimate this one. I understand the appeal of living around people in the same stage of life. I truly do. There is comfort in shared references. There is comfort in people who understand aging without explanation. But there is another side to that, and I kept hearing about it as I researched more. Cliques, social circles, the in crowd and the out crowd. I remember thinking, I already finished high school once. I have no desire to attend it again at 80. Honestly, that part bothered me more than I expected. I have worked too hard to protect my peace. I do not want to spend this season of my life navigating petty social politics over who sits with whom, who runs what committee, who feels important, and who wants control. I have seen enough of human nature in business to recognize it when it puts on a golf shirt and moves into retirement. Some people retire from a job and then go looking for a new little kingdom to manage. I am not judging. I am just being truthful. I did not want to live inside somebody else's need for control. And let me say something else. I also had to think about single women. I am married, and Paul is still here with me, but I am also realistic. At our age, life can change fast. I know many women who ended up alone later than expected. I know how the numbers shift as we age. I saw that in these communities there are often far more women than men. I saw estimates that made it clear the odds are not equal. So, for a single man, that may feel favorable. For a single woman, not so much. I think women deserve to know that before they romanticize the idea of late-life companionship in a place like this. That detail may not matter to everybody, but it matters to enough people that it should not be hidden behind cheerful marketing. Retirement communities often sell togetherness. They sell ease. They sell the idea that companionship is built in. Maybe sometimes it is, but numbers are numbers. I believe in looking at reality with open eyes, not just hopeful eyes. Then I found another issue that really stayed with me. Newness sells. That may sound obvious, but it matters more than many people realize. When a brand new 55-plus community opens, it shines. It has the newest finishes, the newest facilities, the newest everything. People moving into town notice that. Buyers notice that. Demand leans that way. And I understood immediately what that could mean later. If I bought into the shiny new place today, then in 10 years my community would not be the shiny new place anymore. It would be the older one down the road. I didn't know it at the time, but that one detail can shape the entire financial outcome. I have seen this pattern in real estate before. People buy high on the dream and then discover they are selling in a different story years later. A newer development pops up nearby. Buyers drift there. Your place looks dated by comparison, even if it is still perfectly fine. And suddenly, you are competing from behind. That can push down demand. That can push down price. That can stretch out selling time. And at our age, time matters. It matters because retirement is not an endless straight road. It is a season with turns. I may feel strong now and need something different later. I may want to be closer to a child. I may want more care nearby. I may simply want a different setup. I never like to live as if my current needs are permanent. Flexibility has protected me more than once in life, and I was not about to give that up casually. You see, I do not just think about whether I want to buy something. I think about whether I may need to sell it later. Illness happens. Widowhood happens. Family needs change. Care needs change. Mobility changes. Life does not stop being unpredictable just because we turn 60, 70, or 80. So I could not ignore the resale question. I had to face it head on. And the more I looked, the more I felt that these communities can create a quiet trap. They can feel easy to enter and harder to exit well. Now let me get to the last 2 points, because these were the most important for me. The first one is the lack of age diversity. At first, some people love the idea that there will be no loud children nearby and no younger families changing the rhythm of the neighborhood. I understand that thought. I really do. But I ended up seeing the opposite value more clearly. I like mixed ages. I like hearing life in different stages around me. I like being around people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s, not because I want to be them, but because I think it keeps me connected to the full shape of life. I have grandchildren. I mentor younger women. I enjoy hearing fresh energy. I enjoy seeing ambition, young families, and people just starting out. That mix does something good for me. It reminds me that life is still moving. It reminds me that I am part of a wider world, not tucked away in one age bracket, waiting quietly for time to pass. And here's what I didn't understand then. A peaceful life is not always the same as a sheltered life. Too much sameness can make a place feel smaller, not calmer. I thought about my own happiest years in Charleston. I thought about mornings when I saw a young mother rushing children to school, afternoons when I heard a teenager practicing music badly but earnestly, evenings when I watched couples in every stage of life walking past my gate. I like that. I like the mess of real community. I like the reminder that aging is part of life, not a separate country where I must go live behind a sign. The final point was the resale issue. And yes, I know I touched it earlier, but it deserved its own space in my thinking. Because when I added everything up, the rules, the fees, the social dynamics, the aging amenities, and the newer competition coming later, I saw the exit risk clearly. It is one thing to buy a home you love. It is another thing to buy into a system that may become less appealing to the next buyer, while still costing you more every year you stay. That combination bothered me deeply. I kept asking myself one simple question. Was I buying convenience, or was I buying dependency? The more I looked, the more I felt I was being asked to trade freedom for a polished version of ease. Some people may happily make that trade. I could not. Not after the life I built. Not after learning that peace almost always comes from good choices, not packaged promises. So I stepped back. I did not buy. I chose a different path. I chose flexibility. I chose a place where I could keep more control over my life, my family visits, my finances, and my future options. And I am glad I did. Honestly, I am very glad I did. I am not saying every 55-plus community is terrible. I am saying I would never tell anybody to walk into one blindly. Not at our age. Not with our money. Not with our freedom. I want to say this plainly. If you are considering one, slow down. Read every page. Study the budget. Study the rules. Study the meeting notes. Ask about fee history. Ask about special assessments. Ask about fines. Ask about guest limits. Ask about pets. Ask about vehicles. Ask what happens when people break the rules. Ask what has changed in the last 5 years. Ask what is being repaired. Ask what is being argued about. Ask what newer communities nearby may do to future resale. Do not let pretty landscaping make the decision for you. I would also tell you to listen to your body while you research. I mean that. When I read those documents, I felt myself tightening. I felt that quiet inner warning that has saved me more than once. I have learned not to ignore it. A home should make life more stable, not more supervised. A retirement decision should make you feel clearer, not smaller. That matters. It matters more than the sales office ever admits. And if this story helped you think more clearly, I want to ask you something in the same spirit I would ask a friend sitting across from me at my table. Please give this video a like so more people my age can find it before they make an expensive mistake. Please leave me a comment and tell me whether you have lived in one of these communities, considered one, or ruled one out. I truly enjoy reading what people share with me, and I learn from those comments too. And if you want more honest talks from somebody who has lived long enough to know that peace matters more than appearances, then subscribe and stay with me. I am 80, and I still believe our later years can be wise years, strong years, and even young years in spirit if we use them carefully. I only get to live this season once, and so do you. I want us to use it well.